Next question. Which among the following is the most suitable expression for parliamentary form of government in India? Please note the term most suitable expression for the parliamentary form of government in India. Option A. Individual members are directly responsible to the people of India. Head of state is an elected office and not a hereditary position. C. People of the state directly run the government. Lok Sabha can dissolve the Central Council of Ministers through no confidence motion. So from among these four options, which one is the most suitable regarding the parliamentary form of government? So actually, what is parliamentary form of government? It simply means the executives are parliamentary form of government means the executives are responsible to the legislature. Under our constitution, Article 75 says that the Council of Ministers shall be held responsible to the Lok Sabha. I repeat once again, our constitution says that the Central Council of Ministers shall be responsible to Lok Sabha. This shows that if a no confidence motion is passed in the Lok Sabha, then the ministry must resign or the Central Council of Ministers must resign. This shows that the executives are being made accountable to the legislature. That is what mean by the term parliamentary form of government. And in our parliamentary form of government, we have dual executive. That is, we have a real head as well as a nominal head. Who is the real head? The Prime Minister of India. Who is the nominal head? The President of India. That's a correct statement. But the most suitable one is executives are responsible to the legislature. Now let's move to the options. Option A. Individual ministers are directly responsible to the people. Is it so? No, the ministers are responsible to the House as well as to the President of India. So that cannot be our answer. Regarding option B, head of state is elected office. Yes, correct answer. And not a hereditary position. That's also a correct one only. See, this statement is correct. In case of India, the President of India is elected office only and not a hereditary position. But see, in United Kingdom, the head of state is a hereditary position. This statement is correct. See the question. The most suitable expression for parliamentary form of government. From these four options, which among the following options best suits for this term called parliamentary form of government? It simply means option D. That is, Lok Sabha can dissolve the Central Council of Ministers through no confidence motion. Even though this is a right statement, but regarding parliamentary form of government, this is the most appropriate, and that shows that executives are responsible to the legislature. That is, if a no confidence motion is passed in the Lok Sabha, ministers must resign. So D is the correct answer to our question. Clear? Next one. Which of the following are envisaged by right to freedom in the Constitution of India? Right to elementary education, protection against arrest and detention, prohibition of the employment of children in factories, right to practice any profession. So the correct answer from the code below. So right to freedom. See, first of all, when you study the fundamental right, you must classify those rights. That is, you must know right to equality means Article 14 to 18 are covered under the right to freedom. Means you must know Article 19 to 22 are covered under there. Right against exploitations means comes under Article 23-24. Right to freedom of religion, Article 25 to 28. Cultural and educational rights, Article 20 and 30. And right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. You must know these classifications. So from this question is regarding envisaged under right to freedom. The question is asked regarding Article 19 to 22 here. Right to elementary education comes under Article 21A of the Constitution. So that comes under right to freedom. That's a correct statement. Protection against arrest and detention, that comes under Article 22. Covers under right to freedom. Correct one. Prohibition of employment of children in factories is the right one. This comes under, that is, third statement is regarding Article 24. That is prohibition of employment of children in factories. And also prohibition of trafficking in human beings and forced labor comes under Article 23. So regarding fundamental rights, you must be thorough with all those fundamental rights. You must be thorough with all those articles from Article 12 to 35. What is 12? It defines what is a state. What is 13? Article 13. It defines what is a law. Article 14 to 18, right to equality. You must know that. Okay. What is Article 32? Right to constitutional remedies. So Article 12 to 35, you must be crystal clear in that. Why? Because UPSC directly frame questions from those topics under fundamental rights. And also you must classify this in such a manner. So 3 should not be our answer. So since 3 should not be our answer, why? Because prohibition of employment of children in factories comes under right against exploitation. So if you came to know that 3 should not be there in your answer, you can eliminate option B, you can eliminate option C, you can eliminate option D as well. Why? Because in B, C, D, all the 3 is present. So directly you can reach at the answer that through elimination method, option A should be our correct answer. And what about right to practice any profession? It comes under Article 19 of the Constitution. Why? Article 19 has many rights. That is, right to freedom of speech and expression, right to assemble peacefully with arms, clear, right to residence, right to movement, right to practice any profession. All these rights comes under Article 19 of the Constitution. Right to form organizations or associations also comes under Article 19 of the Constitution. So 1 and 2 comes under right to freedom and 3 comes under right against exploitation. So our answer is option A, that is 1, 2 and 4 only. Clear? Which among the following is the most appropriate meaning of the term constitutionalism? So what is actually meant by constitutionalism? First of all, in case of India, we have a written constitution. That is, it has a basic set of principles. Clear? And the government cannot breach the provisions of the constitution. That is, the government must function within the limits of the constitution or within the limits of the provisions mentioned under the constitution. That is what I mean by constitutionalism. That means the legislature or the executive cannot breach the provisions of the constitution. Now let's move on to the options. Term meaning for constitutionalism. The constitution restricting the liberty of citizens for the governance of a state. Is it so? No, actually in constitutionalism, the constitution put a restrictions upon the state. That is, constitution is restricting actually the government or the state. Why? For the interest of individual liberty. Clear? The constitution actually restricts the state. Why? Because states, constitution says that the people of the country are given with so and so rights. Let them do that. You government should not interfere in that. That is constitution asking the government not to interfere in the liberty of the citizens. It is limiting the government or limiting the state in the interest of the people. So 1 is not a correct answer. What about 2? Imposing limitations upon the excessive authority of the executive. Exactly. That is the correct answer. That is the constitution imposing limitations upon whom? The state or the executive or the legislature. Why? When they exceed their authority, it is limited by the whom? The constitution. That is what I mean by constitutionalism here. B is the correct answer. Clear? Why not C? Parliament can amend any provisions of the constitution. No. Why not D? The judiciary cannot interpret some of the provisions of the constitution. That cannot also be the right answer. Why? Because in India, ultimately, Supreme Court is the final interpreter of the constitution. So that cannot also be a right one. Answer is option B, that is constitutional means imposing limitations upon the authority of the executive. Clear?